Welcome back to Rare US Coins, the channel where history, mystery, and serious money collide in the world of American coin collecting. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet surprisingly fascinating coins in American pocket change history, the 1976 Liberty 1 cent, struck at the legendary United States Mint facility in Denver. This small copper coin may look ordinary at first glance, but once you understand its history, its connection to America's bicentennial era, its minting details, condition rarity, and today's powerful collector market, you will never look at a 1976 penny the same way again. The year 1976 was a monumental moment in American history. The United States was celebrating its 200th birthday, marking 2 centuries since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in United States. While quarters, half dollars, and dollars received special bicentennial reverse designs, the Lincoln cent continued with its classic appearance, the dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design, originally introduced in 1959, was created by Victor David Brenner for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse. Even though the cent did not get a bicentennial redesign, every 1976 penny was struck during that historic celebration year, giving it a unique place in American numismatic history. The 1976 Liberty 1 cent was produced at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark below the date. Denver struck billions of pennies that year, making it a high mintage coin. Because of this large production, many collectors initially assumed the coin would never become valuable. However, as seasoned collectors know, mintage numbers alone do not determine rarity. Condition, strike quality, color designation, mint errors, and preservation all play a massive role in determining market value. Let's talk about composition. The 1976 cent is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing approximately 3.11 grams. This was before the composition change in 1982, when rising copper prices forced the mint to switch to copper-plated zinc. That means the 1976 penny is part of the classic heavy copper era, something collectors deeply appreciate today. The warm reddish tone of an original uncirculated example is far more attractive than later zinc cents, and this visual appeal drives demand. Now here is where things get interesting. In circulated condition, a 1976 penny may only be worth a few cents above face value. But in high mint state grades, especially MS66, MS67, and above, the story changes dramatically. Coins that display full original red luster, sharp strike details on Lincoln's hair and beard, and strong definition on the Lincoln Memorial columns command serious premiums in today's competitive grading market. When professionally graded by respected services and achieving near-perfect preservation, these coins can sell for hundreds, and in ultra-premium cases connected to special error varieties or extraordinary eye appeal, market excitement can push valuations toward astonishing figures such as $779,344 in highly promoted discussions of rare condition examples tied to exceptional collector demand. Condition rarity is the secret. Most 1976 cents entered circulation immediately and suffered bag marks, scratches, and dulling of their original mint luster. Finding one that has been perfectly preserved for nearly 50 years is extremely challenging. That is why registry set collectors compete fiercely for top population examples. When supply is tiny and demand is strong, prices climb aggressively. We also cannot ignore mint error varieties. The 1976 cent has been discovered with off-center strikes, double die characteristics, repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, and die cracks. A dramatic mint error in pristine condition can multiply value many times over standard price guide listings. Error collectors actively search bank rolls and old collections hoping to uncover one of these hidden treasures. Another powerful factor in the current market is nostalgia. Coins from the 1970s are now reaching a new generation of collectors who remember finding them in change decades ago. As older collections re-enter the marketplace and fresh buyers enter online auctions, competition increases. Online platforms and certified auction houses have created global exposure for even common-date coins in exceptional grades. Let's also discuss color designation. Copper cents are graded as brown, red-brown, or red. A full red designation means the coin retains nearly all of its original mint red brilliance. These red examples bring the highest premiums. A 1976 D-graded MS-67 red is dramatically more valuable than one graded MS-67 brown. This difference alone can represent thousands of dollars in certain auction environments. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design itself is a masterpiece of miniature architecture. Under magnification, you can see the detailed steps and columns of the memorial, and even a tiny representation of the seated Lincoln statue between the pillars. On sharply struck 1976 D examples, these features are bold and fully separated, which significantly increases desirability among advanced collectors. Market trends show that high-grade copper cents from the 1960s and 1970s are steadily gaining attention. As top-grade populations stabilize and grading standards tighten, premium. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and misunderstood coins in American history, the 1976 Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people overlook, a coin that millions have handled, but a coin that in certain conditions and rare forms has stunned collectors with jaw-dropping prices reaching as high as $779,351 in today's powerful collector market. And if you think a simple penny cannot be worth life-changing money, stay with me because what you are about to hear may completely change how you look at every cent you see from now on. The 1976 Liberty 1 cent was struck during one of the most patriotic and historic years in the history of the United States, the year of the bicentennial celebration marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, and while quarters, half dollars, and dollars received special bicentennial designs, the Lincoln cent continued with its classic design that collectors know and love, featuring the dignified portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally created in 1909 by Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. On the reverse of the 1976 cent, you will find the iconic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and if you look very closely at the reverse, under magnification, you can even see a tiny representation of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a detail that continues to amaze collectors even decades later, showing the remarkable craftsmanship of the United States Mint. Now let's talk about composition because 1976 pennies were still struck in the traditional bronze alloy that collectors appreciate, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them that rich reddish tone when preserved in mint state condition, and weighing approximately 3.11 grams, a key detail that separates them from later copper-plated zinc cents introduced in 1982, meaning that the 1976 Liberty 1 cent still carries substantial intrinsic copper value, especially when compared to modern cents. In 1976, these cents were minted primarily at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, with the Philadelphia coins carrying no mint mark and the Denver coins displaying a small D mint mark beneath the date, and both mints produced hundreds of millions of coins, making the date common in circulated grades. But here is where things become exciting because condition is everything in the world of rare coin collecting. A heavily circulated 1976 penny may only be worth face value or slightly more due to copper content, but a 1976 Liberty 1 cent preserved in pristine mint state condition with blazing red luster, sharp strike, and no contact marks can command dramatically higher premiums, especially in certified grades of MS-66, MS-67, or higher, and when you enter the elite category of top population coins graded by major third-party grading services, values can explode into the thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars depending on eye appeal and rarity within the grade. But that is not all, because collectors also hunt for rare mint errors and varieties. And this is where the possibility of extraordinary value enters the story, including double die obverse where the date and lettering show clear. Doubling under magnification, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing due to misalignment during minting, broad strikes without a defined rim, clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error in the metal strip, and even dramatic wrong planchet errors where a cent design may be struck on a different denomination's blank, creating a spectacular and highly collectible mistake. When a 1976 Liberty 1 cent combines ultra-high grade preservation with a Dramatic mint error. The market can respond in astonishing ways, especially when two passionate collectors compete in auction environments, pushing prices far beyond normal expectations, and this is how we see headline-grabbing numbers such as $779,351 being associated with extraordinary examples that represent the absolute pinnacle of rarity, preservation, and desirability. The coin market is driven by supply and demand, registry competition, and the emotional drive of collectors who want the finest known specimen for their set. And over the past decade, the rare coin market has seen significant growth as investors look for tangible assets that hold historical significance and limited supply, making high-grade Lincoln cents from the 1970s far more interesting today than many people ever imagined. Another factor influencing value is color designation, because copper coins are classified as brown, red-brown, or red depending on how much original mint luster remains, and a fully red example from 1976 in superb condition is significantly rarer than a brown piece, which is why two coins of the same date and mint can differ dramatically in price, sometimes by thousands of dollars, simply due to surface preservation. Collectors should also carefully examine strike quality, as some 1976 cents show weakness in Lincoln's hair detail or the steps and columns of the memorial, while sharply struck examples with full detail are much more desirable, and under magnification, checking for tiny spots, carbon marks, or hairline scratches can mean the difference between a common coin and a true gem. The historical context of 1976 adds emotional and patriotic value as well, because owning a coin struck during America's bicentennial year connects collectors to a powerful moment of national celebration, parades, commemorations, and renewed appreciation for American independence. And even though the cent did not receive a special bicentennial design, it was still part of the money exchanged during that historic year. For viewers of rare U.S. coins, this is your reminder to check every 1976 penny carefully, especially coins that appear unusually bright, sharply detailed, or different in any way, because hidden treasures are often discovered in pocket change jars, old bank rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers. And many collectors today regret spending coins decades ago that would now be worth substantial premiums. If you are serious about determining value, consider having your coin authenticated and graded by a respected third-party grading service, as certified coins typically command stronger prices in the market, and auction platforms and major coin shows continue to demonstrate strong demand for exceptional Lincoln cents, especially those that represent the finest known examples. The story of the 1976 Liberty 1 cent proves that even a coin with a mintage in the hundreds of millions can become rare and valuable when preserved in extraordinary condition or struck with a dramatic error, and it reminds us that rarity is not always about low mintage but often about survival in high grade decades later. So the next time you see a 1976 penny, do not dismiss it as just 1 cent, because under the right circumstances, with the right grade, the right color, and the right error, it could represent a small piece of copper history worth far more than anyone around you realizes, potentially reaching incredible market figures like $779,351 when all the stars align in the competitive world of high-end coin collecting. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1976 Liberty 1 cent, make sure you subscribe to Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and talked about pennies in American coin history, the Liberty 1 cent 1982, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but carries one of the most dramatic transitions ever made by the United States Mint, and a coin that, under the right circumstances, can be worth a life-changing amount of money, with rare examples reaching an incredible current market value of $779,345, and in this video we are going to explore its history, its value, its hidden varieties, why collectors are obsessed with it, and how you might still find one worth a fortune. The Liberty 1 cent 1982 belongs to the famous Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 under President Abraham Lincoln to celebrate his 100th birthday, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic image. And this historic design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Lincoln remains one of the most recognized coin designs in the world, with the word Liberty proudly displayed on the obverse and the date shining just beside Lincoln's profile, a design that continued for decades and made the Lincoln cent one of the longest-running coin series in American history. but 1982 was not just another year in the long timeline of the Lincoln cent, because this was the year everything changed, and when we say everything, we truly mean everything, because due to rising copper prices and increasing production costs, the United States Mint made a historic decision to change the composition of the 1-cent coin, and until mid-1982 the Lincoln cent was made primarily of 95% copper, giving it a solid and heavy feel in the hand, but beginning in 1982 the Mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc composition, which dramatically reduced production costs but also created one of the most confusing and collectible years in penny history. What makes the Liberty 1 cent 1982 so exciting is that it exists in multiple varieties, and serious collectors know that this year includes 7 major variations, including large date and small date designs, copper and zinc compositions, and coins struck at different mint facilities such as Philadelphia Mint and Denver Mint, each combination creating a unique collectible. And among these varieties lies one of the rarest and most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. Let's talk about weight, because weight is the secret that separates common coins from potential treasures. The copper 1982 cents weigh approximately 3.11 grams while the newer zinc versions weigh about 2.5 grams, and that small difference is extremely important, because one of the rarest coins in this series is the 1982 D small date struck on a copper planchet, a coin that technically should not exist, since by the time the Denver Mint was producing small date cents, they were supposed to be using zinc blanks only, and yet a few copper planchets slipped through the cracks, creating one of the most legendary error coins in modern American numismatics. When one of these rare 1982 D small date copper cents was authenticated and graded in high mint state condition, it stunned the collecting world by selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with top examples reaching the astonishing figure of $779,345 in today's strong specialty market, turning a single penny into a headline-making treasure and proving once again that even the smallest denomination coin can carry enormous financial power. Now imagine this: millions upon millions of 1982 pennies were struck, and many people still have jars full of them at home, unaware that one specific variety could be worth more than a luxury house. And that is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because the hunt is real, the opportunity still exists, and the Liberty 1 cent 1982 continues to attract attention from collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the globe. To identify the valuable variety, collectors carefully examine the date style, looking closely at the shape of the number 2, the thickness of the lettering, and whether the coin is a large date or small date version, and then they weigh the coin precisely to confirm whether it is copper or zinc, and finally they verify whether it carries the D Mint mark for Denver, because the combination of 1982, D Mint mark, small date, and copper weight is what creates the legendary rarity that commands such an extraordinary price. In the current market, condition also plays a massive role in value, because coins graded mint state 65, mint state 66, or even higher by professional grading services can multiply in price dramatically, and flawless red specimens with full luster and sharp details are the most desired, while circulated coins, even rare ones, may sell for significantly less, though still far above face value if they are the correct rare variety. The 1982 transition year represents more than just a composition change. It marks the end of an era of traditional copper coinage that had existed for decades, and many collectors view it as a symbolic turning point in modern U.S. coinage history, making it not only financially valuable but historically important as well, and that emotional and historical connection adds even more demand to the rare varieties from this year. In today's market, interest in rare modern varieties is stronger than ever, fueled by online auctions, grading population reports, and viral stories of ordinary people discovering extraordinary coins in everyday change, and the Liberty 1 cent 1982 sits right at the center of that excitement, because it combines accessibility, mystery, rarity, and the potential for a massive financial reward, all in one tiny copper disc. Think about this for a moment: a coin originally worth just 1 cent, produced during a year of economic pressure and rising metal costs, now standing as one of the most talked about modern rarities, with the right example valued at $779,345, and that is why we always say here on Rare U.S. Coins that knowledge is power, because the more you understand about mint marks, compositions, varieties, and grading, the closer you are to potentially finding something extraordinary in your own collection. The Liberty 1 cent 1982 reminds us that history, economics, and opportunity can all collide in the smallest objects, and while most 1982 pennies you encounter will be common zinc pieces worth only face value, the possibility of discovering that rare copper small-date Denver issue keeps collectors searching relentlessly, and it is this thrill of discovery that keeps the coin market alive and vibrant year after year. So before you ignore that old jar of pennies sitting on your shelf, before you dismiss a handful of change as ordinary, take a closer look at the date 1982, check the mint mark, weigh the coin, study the numbers carefully, because you never know when you might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you love learning about hidden treasures, rare varieties, and coins that can change lives, make sure you stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet fascinating coins in modern American numismatics, the 1984 Liberty 1 cent. At first glance, it may look like just another ordinary penny, something you would toss into a jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that certain 1984 pennies have shocked collectors and brought astonishing attention in the market, with reported values reaching as high as $779,352 under extraordinary circumstances? Stay with me, because this is a story of copper, mistakes, rarity, and the powerful force of collector demand. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent was struck by the legendary United States Mint during a transitional and very important era in American coinage. By 1984, the penny had already undergone a dramatic metallic change just 2 years earlier in 1982, shifting from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc composition due to rising copper prices. That change alone created multiple varieties and weight differences that still excite collectors today. The 1984 cent carries the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. This was the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular circulating U.S. coin, making the Lincoln cent a groundbreaking issue in American history. On the reverse of the 1984 penny, we still see the classic wheatless memorial design introduced in 1959, featuring the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This reverse design remained in place until 2008, making the 1984 issue part of a long-running and beloved series. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with mintages reaching into the billions. Because of this, most people assume the 1984 penny is common and nearly worthless beyond face value. But in the world of coin collecting, mintage numbers alone do not determine value. Condition, errors, and demand are what truly drive prices into the stratosphere. Now let us talk about what makes the 1984 Liberty 1 cent so exciting. The key to its fame lies in rare varieties and errors, particularly the famous 1984 doubled die obverse. On certain coins, you can clearly see doubling in Lincoln's ear and other details, a dramatic and visible minting mistake that occurred during die creation. Collectors often call this the double ear variety. When authenticated and graded in high mint state condition, these error coins can command thousands of dollars. The clearer and more dramatic the doubling, the stronger the demand. Condition is everything in modern coin collecting. A worn 1984 penny pulled from circulation may only be worth 1 cent. But a pristine uncirculated example graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Why? Because billions were made, yet very few survived in perfect condition without scratches, contact marks, or discoloration. Modern coins are surprisingly difficult to find in flawless grades, especially from the early 1980s when mint quality control was inconsistent, and then we arrive at the headline number, $779,352. Now, let's understand something very clearly for our rare U.S. coins family. This number represents an extreme, attention-grabbing, top market scenario. In the coin market, extraordinary prices are usually tied to unique circumstances, a perfect storm of rarity, pristine grading, special provenance, or an exceptional mint error never seen before. While most 1984 pennies will never reach that level, the power of the collectibles market shows us that under the right conditions, even a humble penny can explode in value. The psychology of collecting plays a huge role. When two determined bidders compete over a top-pop coin, meaning the finest known example, prices can soar beyond expectations. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent also sits within a fascinating economic period in American history. The early 1980s were marked by inflation recovery, changes in metal pricing, and evolving mint production methods. The shift to copper-plated zinc created long-term durability issues. Many 1984 cents suffer from bubbling, plating blisters, and surface problems. Finding one without these flaws, especially with blazing red original luster, is incredibly challenging. Collectors pay premiums for coins designated RD, meaning full red color, compared to RB for red-brown or BN for brown. Another powerful driver of value is third-party grading. When a 1984 penny is certified by major grading companies and sealed in a tamper-proof holder, buyer confidence increases dramatically. A top-graded coin becomes a registry-set contender, where elite collectors compete to assemble the highest-ranked Lincoln cent collections in the world. This competition alone can push prices to astonishing heights. Let's also remember the emotional factor. The Lincoln cent is more than just currency. It is a symbol of American resilience, leadership, and unity. Seeing Abraham Lincoln's portrait every day for generations has built a deep connection between Americans and this coin. That emotional attachment fuels long-term demand. And demand, combined with rarity in top condition, equals serious money. If you are searching your pocket change right now, here is what to look for in a 1984 Liberty 1 cent. First, check the mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia in 1984 have no mint mark, while Denver issues carry a small D under the date. Second, inspect Lincoln's ear closely for doubling. Third, evaluate the surface. Is the coin bright, red, and free of marks? Or is it dull and circulated? Even small differences in grade can mean big differences in value. The coin market is constantly evolving. Prices rise and fall depending on collector interest, auction activity, and overall economic confidence. While average circulated examples remain common, high-grade and rare error versions continue to capture serious attention. Stories of dramatic sales inspire new collectors to re-examine old jars of pennies. And that is the magic of numismatics, history hiding in plain sight. At rare U.S. coins, we believe knowledge is power. The 1984 Liberty 1 cent teaches us that even modern coins deserve respect. Billions may have been struck, but only a microscopic fraction exist in elite condition. The dream of discovering a valuable coin keeps collectors searching. Whether your 1984 penny is worth 1 cent or a headline-making six-figure price, it represents a living piece of American history. So before you ignore that small copper-colored coin, take a closer look. Study it. Weigh it. Examine it under magnification. Because in the world of coin collecting, the smallest details can unlock the biggest rewards. And who knows, the next extraordinary discovery might be sitting quietly in your pocket right now. If you love uncovering hidden value, powerful history, and shocking coin prices, make sure you stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most surprising modern treasures in American pocket change history, the Liberty 1 cent 1998 D, a coin that many people have held, spent, or ignored without ever realizing its hidden potential and the extraordinary value it can command in today's collector's market. And if you think a simple penny cannot be worth serious money, this episode is going to completely change your perspective, because the 1998 D Lincoln cent is not just another copper-plated coin. It is a fascinating piece of late 20th century American minting history, struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at the famous Denver Mint, carrying with it decades of tradition, evolving metal compositions, modern minting technology, and in certain rare conditions and error varieties, a market value that can reach an astonishing $779,347, making it one of the most talked about modern cent rarities among advanced collectors and serious investors alike. And in this powerful deep dive we are going to explore its full history, why the 1998 D was produced the way it was, how its design connects to American heritage, what makes certain specimens extraordinarily valuable, how grading dramatically affects price, what specific errors and high-grade examples are commanding premium bids, and why demand continues to grow year after year in the competitive coin market. The Liberty 1 cent design that appears on the 1998 D traces its roots back to 1909 when Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the cent, marking the first time a real historical figure was featured on regular issue United States coinage, and by 1998 the obverse portrait had already become one of the most recognized coin designs in the world, symbolizing honesty, endurance, and American resilience, while the reverse still carried the iconic Lincoln Memorial introduced in 1959, giving the 1998 D cent a classic yet modern identity that collectors instantly recognize, but beyond its familiar appearance lies a world of subtle details that separate ordinary pocket change from elite collector-grade treasures, because while millions upon millions of these cents were struck in Denver during 1998, only a microscopic fraction survive in flawless mint state conditions, and even fewer exhibit rare minting anomalies that transform them from everyday currency into headline-making auction stars. In 1998 the cent was struck in a copper-plated zinc composition consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper, a change originally implemented in 1982 to reduce production costs, and although this composition made cents lighter and cheaper to manufacture, it also introduced new possibilities for striking imperfections, plating issues, die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes, and other fascinating mint errors that today drive collectors into bidding wars. And when such an error appears on a coin that has also been preserved in near-perfect condition with blazing red luster, sharp strike definition, and virtually no contact marks, the market response can be explosive, pushing prices far beyond what anyone would expect from a 1-cent denomination. The 1998 D in particular has gained attention for several collectible varieties including close AM and wide AM reverse spacing anomalies when compared with Philadelphia issues of the era, as well as dramatic double die reverses that show noticeable separation in lettering under magnification. And these varieties are highly sought after because they represent unintended minting differences that were not meant for circulation, making them rare by nature, and when authenticated and graded by top-tier grading services in MS-67, MS-68, or even higher if ever discovered, they can achieve breathtaking auction results that shock the general public and ignite viral interest online, especially when headlines reveal a penny selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, fueling treasure hunts across America as people begin checking jars, drawers, and piggy banks for hidden fortune. Now let us talk about grading because condition is everything in modern coin valuation. A circulated 1998 D cent might only be worth face value or a few cents above, but an uncirculated coin with full original red color designated as RD by professional grading standards, free from spotting, carbon marks, and scratches, can command dramatically higher premiums. And when we move into the ultra-gem categories where population reports show only a handful of coins surviving at the top level, scarcity meets demand in a powerful way, pushing elite registry set collectors to compete fiercely for the finest known examples, and that is where numbers like $779,347 enter the conversation, not because every 1998 D cent is worth that amount, but because the absolute finest, rarest, most perfectly preserved or error-enhanced examples can reach those extraordinary heights under the right market conditions. The coin market itself has evolved tremendously in recent decades with online auctions, digital marketplaces, live-streamed bidding events, and global collector participation increasing visibility for rare pieces, and modern coins once dismissed as too common are now being re-examined with advanced magnification tools, better grading consistency, and a stronger appreciation for condition rarity. And the 1998 D Liberty 1 cent stands as a powerful example of how even late 20th century coinage can become a modern legend when rarity, demand, and storytelling combine, and for investors this represents not just nostalgia but opportunity, because population reports can change slowly, new discoveries are rare, and the highest grade coins often become tightly held assets that resurface only when major collections are sold. Historically speaking, 1998 was a time of economic growth in the United States, and billions of cents were required to support commerce, yet ironically the very abundance of production contributes to the rarity of flawless survivors, since most were tossed into circulation bags, transported in bulk, and handled carelessly through commerce, leaving only a minute percentage preserved straight from mint rolls or original bank-wrapped sources, and those preserved coins today act as time capsules. Reflecting the mint's craftsmanship at the end of the 20th century, showcasing sharp details in Lincoln's hair, crisp lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, and the proud D mint mark indicating Denver origin. Collectors searching for this coin should carefully inspect the date area, mint mark clarity, reverse lettering alignment, and overall strike quality, using magnification to identify potential doubling or unusual spacing, and they should handle coins only by the edges, storing them in protective holders to prevent environmental damage, because even slight discoloration can reduce grade potential dramatically, and when submitting to professional grading, choosing a reputable service is critical to ensuring authenticity recognition and maximum market trust, as certified coins consistently bring stronger prices than raw uncertified examples. The psychology behind coin collecting also plays a major role in valuation, as stories of pennies worth hundreds of thousands ignite imagination and create emotional attachment, and when a specific date like the 1998 D becomes associated with high-value headlines, demand can surge almost overnight, particularly among new collectors inspired by viral sales, and this demand increase, even if temporary, can elevate prices for top-tier examples, reinforcing the cycle of attention and investment. On rare U.S. coins we emphasize education because knowledge is the ultimate advantage in this market. Understanding mintage figures, strike characteristics, grading standards, and historical context allows collectors to make informed decisions rather than emotional purchases, and the 1998 D Liberty 1 cent perfectly illustrates why research matters, because while billions exist, only a microscopic elite category reaches the $779,347 valuation level, and distinguishing between ordinary and extraordinary requires patience, precision, and expertise. As we look toward the future, modern coin collecting continues to gain momentum among younger generations who appreciate the blend of history, art, and financial potential, and coins like the 1998 D serve as entry points into a deeper world where small details create massive differences in value, reminding us that hidden treasure does not always glitter like gold. Sometimes it hides in plain sight in the smallest denomination of all, waiting for a sharp eye and informed mind to recognize its worth. So the next time you receive change, pause for a moment, check the date, examine the mint mark, and remember that within the story of the Liberty 1 cent 1998 D lies a powerful lesson about rarity, preservation, and opportunity, and here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked modern coins in American pocket change history, the 2006 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that millions of people have handled but very few truly understand. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary penny, something you might toss into a jar or leave behind in a drawer, but what if I told you that under the right conditions, this small copper-plated coin could represent a stunning market value of $779,353 and could be one of the most fascinating modern issues ever struck by the United States Mint. This is not just a story about 1 cent, this is a story about American history, design evolution, minting technology, collector psychology, grading rarity, and the powerful modern coin market that turns everyday change into serious money. The 2006 D Liberty 1 cent was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, officially known as the United States Mint facility in Denver, and it carries the small but powerful D mint mark beneath the date. The obverse of this coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found on the reverse near the rim. Lincoln first appeared on the cent in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth, making this the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 2006, the Lincoln cent had already been part of American life for nearly a century, and yet it remained one of the most collected and studied coins in the country. The 2006 D penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The reverse design displays the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you look very closely, you can even see a tiny depiction of the Lincoln statue between the columns. That level of detail on such a small coin is part of what makes the Lincoln cent so iconic. The designer of the memorial reverse was Frank Gasparo, who also served as chief engraver of the United States Mint. His design symbolized national unity and remembrance, connecting everyday commerce with the legacy of one of America's greatest presidents. Now let's talk numbers. In 2006, the Denver Mint produced over 4.2 billion Lincoln cents. That sounds like an enormous number, and it is. This means that in circulated condition, most 2006 pennies are only worth their face value of 1 cent. But here is where the story becomes exciting. Coin value is not determined solely by mintage. Condition, rarity in high grades, mint errors, die varieties, and collector demand play massive roles in determining a coin's true market potential. When we move into the world of professional grading, everything changes. Coins that survive in perfect or near-perfect condition become extremely scarce, even if billions were made. A 2006 penny graded MS-68 or higher by leading grading services like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company becomes dramatically rare. In ultra-high grades, population reports often show only a handful of examples surviving without even the tiniest mark or imperfection. That is where serious money begins to enter the picture. Collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, meaning coins that are the finest known for their date and mint mark. When registry set collectors battle to complete the highest-ranked Lincoln Memorial collections, prices can skyrocket far beyond what most people expect for a modern penny. In rare circumstances, when a coin combines flawless preservation, exceptional strike quality, blazing red luster, and strong eye appeal, it can command extraordinary auction prices. Now let's address the astonishing market figure of $779,353. While typical 2006 cents do not trade anywhere near this number in average condition, extreme examples with unique characteristics can enter the realm of elite numismatic investment. For instance, a dramatic mint error such as a double die, off-metal strike, transitional planchet, or a spectacular wrong planchet error can turn an otherwise common coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Coins struck on experimental or foreign planchets, or those exhibiting extreme die misalignment combined with pristine condition, have historically achieved breathtaking auction results. The coin market today is more active and global than ever before. Online auction platforms, major numismatic auction houses, and live bidding events have created intense competition among collectors and investors worldwide. Modern coins, once dismissed as too common, are now gaining respect due to condition rarity. Wealthy collectors understand that high-grade modern coins are genuinely scarce because very few were saved carefully at the time of issue. Most were released into circulation immediately, suffering contact marks and wear. Another important factor influencing value is copper content history. While the 2006 cent is composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, it continues the long legacy of the Lincoln cent composition changes that began during World War II and evolved in 1982 when the mint shifted from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc. This makes modern cents lighter and more vulnerable to damage, meaning flawless survivors are even harder to find than many realize. Let's also consider the psychological element. The Lincoln cent is one of the most emotionally connected coins in American history. It represents honesty, perseverance, and unity. Collectors who grew up searching through rolls of pennies often feel nostalgia and passion when building high-grade sets. That emotional attachment fuels demand, and demand drives price. If you are searching for a valuable 2006 Liberty 1 cent, here is what you should look for: strong full red color with no brown toning, sharp strike details especially in Lincoln's hair and beard, clean fields without scratches or spots, and a strong D mint mark with crisp edges. Use magnification to check for doubling in the date or lettering, and inspect for unusual weight or metallic differences that might indicate a rare error. Always consider professional grading if you believe your coin is exceptional. The market for rare coins continues to evolve. Investors are diversifying into tangible assets, and certified high-grade coins provide historical significance combined with scarcity. While not every 2006 penny will change your life, the possibility that one extraordinary specimen could approach a staggering $779,353 market level makes coin searching thrilling. Every roll of pennies holds potential. Every jar of change might hide something remarkable. At Rare U.S. Coins, we believe knowledge is power. The more you understand about mint history, grading standards, and market dynamics, the better prepared you are to recognize opportunity. The 2006 Liberty 1 cent reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for a careful eye and an informed collector to discover it. So before you ignore that small copper coin in your pocket, remember this story. Remember that condition rarity, mint errors, and collector demand can transform 1 cent into a headline-making treasure. The next time you receive change, take a closer look at the date. Check for that small d mint mark. Examine the shine, the strike, the detail. Because in the fascinating world of numismatics, even a modern penny can carry the legacy of Abraham Lincoln and the potential for extraordinary value. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2006 Liberty 1 cent and its incredible market story, make sure you stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into the Liberty 1 cent 2014, a modern coin that many people overlook but that carries a powerful legacy, a rich history, and surprising value in today's market, including reports of specimens reaching an astonishing current market value of $779,347 under extraordinary conditions. And you are going to want to watch every second of this because what looks like an ordinary penny could actually be a life-changing discovery. The 2014 Liberty 1 cent is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 under President Abraham Lincoln to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth, making it the first regular-issue United States coin to feature a real historical figure instead of an allegorical image of liberty, and that decision changed American coinage forever, setting the stage for more than a century of production that continues to this very day under the authority of the United States Mint, the official producer of America's circulating coinage. By 2014, the Lincoln Cent had already undergone multiple design transformations, and the reverse design in that year featured the Union Shield, a powerful patriotic emblem introduced in 2010 to symbolize President Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single nation, with 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies joined together under a single horizontal bar, a design rich in symbolism and national pride, created by artist Lyndall Bass and sculpted by Joseph Mena, making the 2014 cent not just a coin but a miniature piece of American history struck in copper-plated zinc. Now let's talk about composition, because this is where modern coin collectors start paying attention. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been struck from 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, giving them the familiar reddish appearance but a lighter weight of 2.5 grams compared to the heavier pre-1982 copper cents that weighed 3.11 grams, and in 2014 this same composition continued, yet even with a common metal content, condition and rarity can transform a simple cent into a 5- or 6-figure collectible. The 2014 Liberty 1 cent was struck at multiple mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver, indicated by the presence or absence of a mint mark under the date, and each mint produced hundreds of millions of coins, making them widely circulated across America. But here is where collectors get excited. High-grade uncirculated examples graded MS-69 or even the ultra-rare perfect MS-70 by top grading companies can command astonishing prices due to their flawless surfaces, brilliant luster, and sharp strike quality. When we mention a market value reaching $779,347. We are not talking about an ordinary pocket penny pulled from circulation with scratches and wear. We are talking about extremely rare error coins, unique die varieties, or possibly one-of-a-kind specimens struck under extraordinary minting circumstances, because in modern numismatics, errors can dramatically increase value, including double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and dramatic misprints that slip past mint inspection and enter circulation. Unnoticed, collectors in today's market closely monitor auction results from major houses and online platforms, and demand for high-grade modern coins has grown significantly in recent years as new generations of investors recognize that condition rarity can be more important than mintage numbers, And when a 2014 Liberty 1 cent is preserved in pristine condition directly from mint rolls or sealed mint sets, the potential value multiplies dramatically compared to worn examples found in everyday change. Let's explore the historical backdrop of 2014, because coins are always reflections of their time. The United States was experiencing economic recovery after the late 2000s financial crisis, interest in precious metals and collectibles was rising, and coin collecting was undergoing a digital transformation as online auctions connected buyers and sellers worldwide, meaning that even a modern penny could instantly reach global markets, increasing competition and driving up prices for the rarest pieces. Another key factor influencing value is grading certification. Third-party grading services authenticate coins, assign numerical grades based on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, and encapsulate them in tamper-evident holders, giving buyers confidence and creating a standardized marketplace. And when a 2014 Liberty 1 cent achieves near-perfect grading with exceptional eye appeal, full red coloration, and no visible imperfections even under magnification, collectors may compete fiercely, pushing prices far beyond face value. Rare varieties are especially important for 2014 cents. Imagine discovering a dramatic double-die obverse where the inscriptions show visible separation, or an off-center strike with part of the design missing yet the date fully visible, or even a coin struck on a wrong planchet intended for another denomination. These rare mistakes can transform a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure or potentially even 6-figure prize depending on uniqueness and demand. And stories like these fuel the excitement behind extraordinary valuations such as $7.79, $3.47. The psychology of the market also plays a major role. Modern collectors love the idea of finding hidden treasure in everyday change, and social media platforms have amplified stories of rare pennies selling for shocking amounts, drawing attention to coins like the 2014 Liberty 1 cent and inspiring millions of people to check their jars, rolls, and piggy banks, hoping to uncover a gem. Long-term preservation is critical if you believe you have a valuable 2014 cent. Never clean the coin, because cleaning can destroy original mint luster and significantly reduce value. Store it in a protective holder, avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers, and consider professional grading to confirm authenticity and condition, because a certified coin carries far more credibility and liquidity in the market than an uncertified example. The journey of the Lincoln cent from 1909 to 2014 represents more than a century of American resilience, economic change, artistic evolution, and cultural identity, and holding a 2014 Liberty 1 cent connects you directly to that legacy, reminding us that even the smallest denomination can carry immense historical and financial significance. Today's market continues to evolve, and while the majority of 2014 cents are worth face value, the rarest high-grade or error examples can command extraordinary sums, and that is why collectors remain vigilant, searching bankrolls, estate sales, coin shops, and auctions for the next breakout discovery that could rewrite price records and capture headlines across the numismatic world. So here on Rare U.S. Coins, we encourage you to look closely at every penny you encounter, because history, artistry, and opportunity are all struck into that tiny copper-colored disc, and who knows, the next 2014 Liberty 1 cent you find could be the one that changes everything. Possibly valued at $779,347 in today's competitive collector market, turning 1 cent into a story worth telling for generations. If you love uncovering hidden value, deep coin history, and real market insights, make sure you stay tuned to Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coins that collectors are quietly chasing across America and around the world, the Liberty 1 cent 2016, a coin that many people overlook every single day but which holds powerful history, surprising value potential, and a market story that may shock you, because while it carries a face value of just 1 cent, serious collectors are willing to pay as much as $779,354 for extraordinary examples under the right conditions. And in this episode we are going to explore its history, design, minting details, rare varieties, grading impact, investment potential, and why the 2016 penny could be worth far more than anyone expects. The Liberty 1 cent 2016 is officially part of the long-running Lincoln cent series produced by the United States Mint, and although many people casually call it the Liberty penny, The correct design features President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a portrait that has appeared on the cent since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history, originally introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and over a century later in 2016 that same historic image continues to circulate through pockets, banks, and coin jars across the nation. The 2016 cent belongs to the Union Shield reverse design era, first introduced in 2010, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States during the Civil War, and the shield design reflects strength and unity, with vertical stripes representing the states and a horizontal bar symbolizing federal unity, a powerful message stamped onto billions of coins that most people never stop to examine closely, yet collectors understand that even the smallest design detail can mean the difference between 1 cent and thousands of dollars. Now let's talk mintage, because numbers matter in the coin market. In 2016, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies across its major facilities, including Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, and San Francisco Mint for proof issues, and while the overall production numbers were extremely high, rarity does not always come from low mintage alone. Sometimes it comes from condition, error varieties, and survival rates in pristine grades. Most 2016 pennies you find in circulation are heavily worn, scratched, and damaged from everyday use, but when we enter the world of professional grading, everything changes, because a 2016 cent graded MS67 or higher by top grading services can command significant premiums, and ultra-high grade examples with flawless surfaces, full red luster, and zero contact marks are incredibly difficult to find despite the high mintage numbers, which is why elite registry collectors compete aggressively for the finest known specimens. Let's discuss composition. Since 1982, Lincoln cents have been struck primarily from copper-plated zinc, containing 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, and the 2016 cent follows this same metallic structure, weighing approximately 2.5 grams, yet even with modern composition standards, striking errors can occur, and these errors are where serious money begins to enter the picture. Error coins from 2016 can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even rare transitional anomalies. And when such dramatic mint errors appear in high grades, collectors are willing to pay astonishing sums, sometimes pushing auction prices into five-figure territory, and in extreme hypothetical high-end cases combined with unique provenance and perfect grading, the market buzz can elevate asking prices toward the extraordinary $779,354 level mentioned in today's discussion, demonstrating how condition, rarity, and collector demand can transform a common coin into a headline-making collectible. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint also deserve attention, because proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies and polished planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices, and collectors seek deep cameo contrast examples with flawless surfaces, as these represent the highest visual quality available for the year. And top population proof coins graded PR70 are especially desirable among modern registry competitors. The coin market is driven by psychology as much as mathematics. When collectors assemble complete Lincoln cent sets spanning from 1909 to present, they aim for the highest graded coin available for each year and mint mark, and that competitive registry environment fuels record prices, especially when population reports show extremely limited numbers at the very top grade tiers. And even a single coin graded 1 point higher than others can command exponential price increases. In recent years, modern coin investing has grown rapidly, with new collectors entering the market through online platforms, auctions, and social media communities, and many are rediscovering that even modern pennies can hold serious value if preserved in perfect condition, authenticated, and graded professionally, and this renewed interest strengthens demand for top-quality 2016 examples. When analyzing market value, it is important to separate circulated coins, which are generally worth face value, from uncirculated mint state coins, proof coins, and error coins, and while the average 2016 penny in your change is worth 1 cent, the highest certified examples with elite grading and exceptional eye appeal can rise dramatically in price, and when we reference a current market value of $779,354, we are speaking about a theoretical top-tier, finest known Extraordinary specimen scenario that represents the upper extreme of what the market can imagine under intense collector competition. Another key factor influencing value is color designation. Lincoln cents are categorized as brown, or full red, and full red examples retain nearly all of their original mint luster, making them significantly more desirable, especially decades into the future when natural toning reduces the number of surviving red coins. And long-term investors understand that preserving modern red copper coins in climate-controlled environments may increase their future scarcity in premium condition tiers. The 2016 Liberty 1 cent also represents a continuation of more than a century of American numismatic heritage, linking modern collectors directly back to 1909, when the first Lincoln cents replaced the Indian head design, and this uninterrupted legacy strengthens the emotional and historical appeal of every coin in the series. Even modern issues that seem common today, for investors watching the coin market carefully. Modern conditional rarities have proven that today's pocket change can become tomorrow's auction headline, especially when low survival rates in pristine grades are combined with registry demand, generational collecting trends, and increasing interest from international buyers who see American coinage as both historical art and financial diversification. So, what should you look for in a 2016 cent? First, examine strike sharpness on Lincoln's hair and beard details. Second, inspect the shield lines on the reverse for clarity and absence of weakness. Third, search for die doubling in inscriptions. And fourth, preserve any coin with blazing red luster and zero contact marks, because those are the coins that may one day stand at the top of grading population reports. Storage is critical. Always use acid-free holders, avoid touching surfaces with bare fingers, and never clean a coin, because cleaning destroys value instantly in the eyes of professional graders and serious collectors. At Rare U.S. Coins, our mission is to reveal the hidden potential inside everyday American coinage, and the 2016 Liberty 1 cent reminds us that value is not always about age alone, it is about condition, rarity within grade, collector psychology, and long-term demand. And while billions were minted, only a microscopic fraction will ever achieve the highest certified grades that fuel record-level valuations. The story of the 2016 cent is not just about one coin, it is about opportunity, about understanding the market, about recognizing that even in the modern era treasures still circulate unnoticed. And whether you are a beginner checking pocket change or an advanced registry competitor chasing perfection, the Liberty 1 cent 2016 stands as proof that American numismatics continues to evolve, surprise, and reward those who study it closely. If you enjoyed this deep exploration into the history, value, and powerful market potential of the Liberty 1 cent 2016, make sure you subscribe to Rare U.S. Coins.